Hey everybody, it's Divine Readings with the Gypsy, and today I have a deck review for the Halloween Spirit or the Samhain Spirit. It's called the Black Tarot, not to be mistaken with the True Black Tarot, which is on Kickstarter and won't be released until the winter of 2018. This is the True Black Tarot, not True Black Tarot, this is the Black Tarot that's the Russian deck that I got from the Ukraine, I believe. It's where I got it from, and it comes in a Llewellyn, the typical Llewellyn flimsy styled box. And my camera is actually at a very awkward setup, so I'm hoping that I could show you guys relatively easily. And this is the back of the box. It's all in Russian. This deck is completely in Russian. However, it's so lighter weight that you could easily tell what exactly is the which card is which in the Rider Waite in its system. So it's a really Rider Waite based deck, even though it doesn't seem like it, and it's a horror deck. And I believe you could still find it on this site right here on the bottom, where I'm not bottom, but yeah, bottom of the box here. I think you could still get this deck on the site, but I got this deck on eBay and it was advertised as the darkest deck. Boo! It was kind of like one of those boo decks, and it was for really cheap. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but it was cheap, and I just went ahead and snatched it up. And something happened in the mail, and the box, this Llewellyn box, didn't survive so well. And the whole box of this deck and the packaging was all banged up to hell. But I really thought I lost it in the mail, and I tried to make contact with the seller on eBay, trying to tell him that I didn't get the deck, and I will probably never get the deck, and I'm sorry about that. I was just trying to show you the inside of the box. This is probably why I never stored this deck in the box, because it was one of these awkward boxes, and cards I think were all loosely in here. If you could tell, it's still got yucky wrapping all up in there stuff. It kind of advertised that there were going to be a black cinch bag here, but I never got the black cinch bag for this deck. And that box I can now happily throw away because I finally made a review of it. And it comes with a meaty guidebook, a pretty good meaty guidebook. And this actually feels a very nice guidebook. It's a very good guidebook, very meaty guidebook. Kind of feels nice, and it's pretty substantial. However, if you read Russian, this guidebook would definitely be okay. But if you don't read Russian, then you are kind of SOL. And so it's a 2013 deck, apparently. And I did go through and go to Google Translate to translate some of these, whatever, the guidebook. If I can even remember to speak today, that would be wonderful. And I wrote the Black Tarot, and it actually does translate pretty exact, the Black Tarot, so was very good. And then they have some spreads in the back, which I was more curious about, and this one is called the Hand of the Devil spread, and I have it right here in this. My sloppy handwriting is: the structural block is designed to identify the most significant defects and bad inclinations of the questioner, and also the notion in which they have the greatest influence. So it's really a shadow work spread, and it's a pyramid spread. So I was really like, oh, I'm really excited. And this one is a mirror spread, which I translated. This one is the circle squaring spread. And I think this one is just a simple layout, ideal for finding out the right relationship in pairs. Although the first place is what did I write there? For love and okay. First, I cannot read my own handwriting. Oh dear goodness. See, here it is. And then I have Crossroads spread, which looks like a very good spread. And this one is the 3 perm spread. And then it kind of goes into, like, I don't know if they do like a index in the back in Russia or not, but it kind of looks like it here. It looked like that they kind of did an index here. So that's a book. It's not really much to brag about, but I did try to translate the best I could. So let's take a look at the cards, which I put in my cinch bag here. My little white, one of these white bags that you get at Michael's or whatever's. And here are the backs of the cards. I really don't mind the back of the cards. I kind of been meaning to edge this deck in black or another color, but I just don't want to ruin the borderlessness of the deck here. As I said before, if you are not into horror decks or horror imagery, you might want to wait till the end of the video or not watch this review at all, or this flip through. So I'm going to try to do a flip through of the deck and just kind of talk a little bit about the cards briefly as I go, if there's something needs mentioning. But it's going to be more of a flip through. I really like him. He has all the elements. It's very, very Rider-Waite-Smith, the High Priestess. And you can really, really get the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery pretty quickly. I actually really like some of the artwork that they have here. Even though it is a horror deck, I do love some of this haunting artwork. And they have the Justice card as 8 instead of 11, and Strength as 11 instead of 8. This is a crazy hermit here. I think that is a very interesting hermit, actually. And this is what's on the front of the box when you get the box. Strength. And it's kind of a thothy strength, in my opinion, because she's kind of seductively taming that beast within her. The Hangman. Death. I would have thought Death would have been a little bit more a-ka-da-bam for such a horror deck, but it's alright. It's good. It's all good. I still like that as Death. Temperance. The Devil. And there are some that's kind of a Marseille influence there, with the mouth being the tongue in kind of a raunchy kind of way, but that's a Marseille thing. Tower. Star. The Moon. You could really tell the Rider-Waite-Smithness of it, especially with the majors. You could definitely tell it's a majors card because of the numerological numbering that they choose in the cards. So it's not an impossible deck to use for English speakers. And you'll see once we hit the minor cards that it's not so bad either. And I thought this was very interesting for the world card. The balance of a feminine and masculine right here. I would have thought this would have been looking a little bit more like a hangman, but I really like that feminine and masculineness of the new beginnings. All right, but here in the minor cards, all the aces are kind of like a close-up. Let me see if I could find all the aces for a second. But they're kind of like that. It's kind of an awkward camera angle to be doing it side by side, but they're kind of like these close-ups on the element in a hand, basically, like that. So the aces are kind of like that. So I'll just kind of flip through this deck, the deck, and the 2 of cups here. But you can tell it's a 2 and definitely cups. And so it's not like it's impossible to read. Like this is a Three of Cups. You see cups and you see threes. So it's not impossible to read. I have to admit that some of the images, even for me, are very hard for me to use because I even get some turned looking at some of these images in a. So I'm not all non-squeamish too. I actually have some of these images do invoke squeamishnesses in me too. So if you get squeamish looking at any of the images, you're not alone. I have some squeamishnesses about this deck. And I really enjoy the court cards. The court cards are just badass. I'm sorry. And this is the page. You know him. I love him as the page. And the Knight of Cups there. He's really cool. Queen of Cups. Oh, and this is the best King of Cups ever. I love him on the throne there. And that mask. Oh, amazing King of Cups there. And then here we got the swords. Two of Swords. I think the swords are the more harsher imageries in the deck. And the wands are very harsh too. I think the cups is actually the tamest ones. I really like this one actually, now that I'm looking at that one again. But yeah, this is a very, some of this is very harsh imagery. I think it was the, oh yeah, this was the one. It was like, no. That's very harsh. And then here you got the page. The Knight of Swords. I really like the Queen of Swords here. And then you got the elemental symbol here on her chest of air, I believe. Is that the air sign? I don't think so. Now that I think about it, I think the air sign, the true air sign would have been, have a line through it. But that really is interesting. Oh, and this King of Swords is also badass. The kings in this is just amazing. The guys in the sword and the... Ew, it's kind of haunting. I like it. And then you got the wands. Yeah, this one was the suit that I think has some the worst imagery sometimes. And then you got the ships coming in with the wands. This one is like, oh, no. And I like this, the Six of Wands here. He actually is very confusing to me because he looked like he could be a knight's. Seven of Wands. Eight of Wands. Nine of Wands. And 10 of Wands. The Page. The Knight. I like his death mask there. It kind of looks like those death masks that they had back in the Black Plague time. Ooh, look at that cat. I didn't notice that before. You got the black cat with a Rider-Waite influence there. And he's not my favorite king out of all the kings. And then we got to the Pentacles. And then we're done. Two. This one was a little harsh. Three. Kind of harsh there. Yeah, I forgot about the suit. Some of this, I'm like, I forgot about this. I forgot about that too. 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you got your quartz. I actually do like this page. This one page is kind of like he's really a kind of a creative page there. Oh, I love this Knight of Pentacles. It's so cool. With the bloody horse and the rider. That's really cool. I really do like her as the Queen of Pentacles, and there's kind of some influences there. I think there's some other system influences that they're taking here. And I love how they match, actually. The Queen and the King of Pentacles here match. And they're both really cool. And let's see how the cards shuffle real quick. And then I'll go ahead and try to see if this video will upload, because I just discovered it's beyond the upload time. So, let's see. Oh, yeah, this deck has sexy cardstock. That's another thing about this deck I've noticed. It really has the sexy cardstock. Whether or not I use this for personal shadow work or clients is still up for debate. I think this might end up being a personal deck, just because I think this deck could make even the faintest of hearts squeamish. It actually makes me squeamish, some of the images in this deck. And it just kind of makes me go, no. Oh, how about no? So, it's very nice, the cardstock. I would say the cardstock is about 350 Gs. A very good 350, I think. It's good cardstock. It's really nice cardstock, and it shuffles very nicely. I think it's flexible. It's very flexible, so it's kind of reminds me more of the Llewellyn cardstock, the new Llewellyn cardstock. It's not as thin as the new Llewellyn, but it's definitely got that flexibility of the Llewellyn cardstock, which I do like, and it has more durability, like the Los Scarabeo cardstock, which I like too. So it's somewhere in between. I think this deck is definitely has somewhere in between. So let me do a card draw to end this. Ooh, we got Jumper. So we got the Empress. It's actually interesting that we got the Empress, because I got the Empress the other day for myself in my personal reading. So she's kind of stalking me, I think, officially. And she is saying fertility and motherly, and just kind of reminding us not to sabotage yourself. If you're talking about shadow work and looking at her shadow work side in this deck, you probably say she probably says be good to yourself and not sabotage yourself, and let yourself go into physical ruin. I find that this deck is actually a very Pentacles deck. If you want to name it a suit or an element, it would be a very earthy deck or a very Pentacles deck. It talks a lot about the physical world if you really do a reading. I've done a few readings with this deck with myself, and I find every single time I do a reading with this deck or a card draw on this deck, it's a very earthy suit. It talks about the physical world. Well, that's kind of my review / flip through of the Black Tarot, and I hope I'm not too rambly, and because I'm not feeling so great today. I'm feeling a little rambly. I'm feeling a little out of it. The kids have been screaming all day, and my nurse hasn't showed up today, so I'm just kind of just me today. So bear with me if it was too rambly. I hope this was a good review or flip through for you all, and I love you all. I'll see you on the flip side.